Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back again with some ArmA 2, except this time by popular demand and suggestion by all of you awesome people. I have downloaded the Project Reality mod and we are online, so this is actually multiplayer here. And funny enough though, actually I'm very familiar with PR. I created their very first trailer for their Battlefield 2 version of their mod back in the day, actually kind of when I was first starting a little bit of editing back then. So nothing really to write home about. It was kind of a basic trailer. They actually didn't have a lot of the player models and weapons and skins and maps and things that they do today. So it definitely wasn't as big. It was literally at the start of that mod. But anyway, I think you can find it on their main website if you're curious. It's still there somewhere. Moving right along, where are we? It looks like we've got an attack-defense scenario here. We're the British Armed Forces. And unfortunately, it's only me and this guy here that got dropped off via this one helicopter. No lie, you're going to see me noob it up many times. I have no idea what I'm doing. I barely know any of the controls, and I'm just trying to fend for myself. And I'm actually not even on voice communication with the rest of these people. So I'm kind of just trying to follow people, not get too lost, and hopefully not die. And as you can see here, noobish mistake number one. I neglected to equip a weapon sight that was compatible with night vision. So I'm having to remove the night vision in order to acquire targets in the thick of night. So the weather conditions were not good. There's a little bit of gunfire there by that guy. And it seems that we're not able to capture this zone because somebody has entered the area. So I'm just looking like, okay, what can I see? It's freaking dark. Don't see anything. It's that quiet paranoia that you get when you're just scanning around looking for targets. Throw the NVGs back on, hoping that I can see something, and then unfortunately, shots fired. My buddy gets hit. I'm still up. I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna get popped. I'm pretty sure of it. And boom, a single bullet to the head. Luckily, take that guy out with a headshot. Although the animation for the headshot wasn't that instantaneous. And then I'm going over to this guy. I didn't mean to look at his inventory. I'm thinking, okay, let me figure out the medicing here. How can I do some first aid? Fortunately, it looks like Project Reality actually makes it a little bit more simplistic. They had that little menu drop-down interface that's really handy compared to the original ArmA UI that is very confusing. So it's kind of cool that you could diagnose and then it tells you what you need to do to them. I like that a lot. Unfortunately, he's dead, so not a whole lot I can do there. And I actually should have grabbed... I think he had a hollow sight. I should have grabbed that. Unless I have one as well that I could attach or something. I'm not too sure. But again, still noobing it up. You can hear a little bit of radio chatter in the background, which obviously I'm not involved in, which next time I probably should be. Because this game without communication, you're blind. You might as well be blind and with a pair of headphones playing music on, because that's how bad it is to not have communication. It'll separate you nearly completely from your squad or entire team, and you'll end up getting lost many times. Typically like I do. Now here we go. We got another intruder, and I have no choice but once again to remove the NVGs to kind of get a sight. Unless there's something I'm missing, I really don't know any other way to do it with this scope. And I see the weapon of the Jeep that just pulled up, and there he gets on, and I fire a shot. I don't know if I got him or he got off. It's possible he jumped off the Jeep at the right moment, or maybe I one-shotted him. I'm not sure, but I'm just sitting here and throwing back on, switching between NVGs and not, and just trying to hold the area. I see the bar at the top of the screen, and I'm thinking, well, I guess, you know, that's the capture indicator, which takes an extremely long time. And I'm thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to grab an entire zone by myself. And in fact, I think the rest of the team was actually assaulting from the opposite end and coming into this area. Why we got dropped off with only 2 people on this area, I have no idea. Some of the other helicopters were locked, and I guess I needed to belong to a squad. So here I'm just kind of scanning these sections, and something strange is about to happen, which I'm definitely not aware of. I just died. I don't know if I had gotten hit or I went too far in the water and drowned. I think I drowned, but that would be pretty bad. I'm guessing the training for this soldier was not that great in terms of aquatics. But anyway, I'm guessing that's just a weird game mechanic, unless I got one-shotted to the skull. But so I respawn. I have a hollow sight this time, so I can use it with my NVGs, and I managed to find a squad to kind of tag along with, although I don't think I'm technically in their squad. So they're probably wondering who this guy is, just following him around, not saying anything, and kind of just waiting for this guy's having trouble. He can't actually vault over the wall, which is quite silly in itself. That's just one of those weird, glitchy ArmA animation, game physics type things, just that tends to happen. So he gives up. He's like, all right, I'm going around. I'm like, all right, well, let me try this. And I screw up once. And number 2, I make it over on the second try. You know, I might be noobing it up, but at least I can get over the wall, right? So here, basically, I'm just trying to provide cover to, you know, this squad, trying to do something useful at least, just scanning around, looking for targets coming in. Although it's quite difficult, again, when you're not on voice, you don't know friend from foe. You have to really take a look at the map, see where all your extra units are. I found myself double taking a couple times, looking at something in the distance. Is that an enemy? Sometimes it would be. I wouldn't fire because I thought it might be friendly, and then I would look at the map and realize it was an enemy, but they were gone by then. So many mistakes were made this day. And keep in mind that this game was well over an hour long, and I've had to edit it down to the length that it is now. One of the things that makes recording ArmA very difficult, and the reason that you don't see a lot of ArmA content on a regular basis from me, is the simple fact that for me to get action-packed content, it's not easy. And again, getting into these multiplayer games is quite difficult. So a question to you guys, you've been really great with feedback, is what kind of ArmA footage do you enjoy? I mean, do you enjoy seeing troop movement like this? You know, are you cool with the fact that there might not be a whole lot of action throughout the duration of a video? That is the question of the day. As we move along here, just still sticking with this squad, hoping to stay alive for as long as I can. Now, because I know a lot of people are really interested in seeing non-stop action, lots of shots and things like that, which here we actually come into fire. I see where it's coming from. Return some fire, as does the rest of the squad. And the fire does begin to die down. I'm just keeping a look, see if he went around the other side of that. What looks like a shed. And nothing, but I look back and oh no, this guy took a hit. So okay, let me try this healing thing again. Diagnose. And it tells me what he may need. So I'm like, oh, okay. Because I remember without PR, I would be clueless as to how to do the first aid. But this is, I really love this drop-down menu. So I'm bandaging him up. This is definitely no Battlefield 3. Shock paddles are not going to do it. So I hit him with one. I'm like, okay, now what? Oh, he's still laying there. And it says checking, but it just kind of waited, and he gets back up sort of, but he's still a little face down there. He doesn't look like he's having a good day. So I try again with the first aid and diagnose, and then it still says maybe he could use another bandage. So I go ahead and throw in another field dressing. And he seems to be back up though, like he's conscious here. In fact, it looks like he reloads his weapon. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we've got him back in action. And I'm hoping he's alright. Still making some noises, so I think at this point maybe he's checking on himself, throwing on another bandage perhaps. And then I decided to first aid and try to diagnose again, but now it's saying that I think I'm kind of out of luck. And the funny thing is I was worried, did I do something wrong? Because I went to diagnose him and then he like just flat out passes out again. And I don't know if it was my fault or this guy possibly walking over his body that has put him into this state. So I'm not sure, but you know, lots of things to learn, definitely. Feel free to leave some comments below to point out some of the things that I could correct or learn from. I probably should read the manual or watch some tutorials or guides or something, but you know, this has otherwise been pretty fun and definitely intense. I'm hoping that somebody else is going to like perform some better medic duties on him. As the message on the thing said, you can't do any more, you need a medical professional or whatever. So we need a dedicated medic on this guy at this point. I've done everything I can. Still some shots in the distance. We've got our guys who haven't really left the area yet. And I believe I'm just trying to cover a couple of these other guys who I see actually taking care of this soldier. So I look back here. These guys are looking at him. But I don't think that they're medics. I think they were just trying to check him out. I'm not sure, either that or they're just like, well, it's too late. So I'm just trying to provide overwatch. Hopefully they can bring him back. That's what I'm thinking, at least. Now the other question I do have is that obviously Project Reality kind of loads through its own shortcut. And you can hear from some of the sounds that we're hearing right now. These sounds, while I don't believe that they're standard issue sounds from ArmA, they're also not my JSRS mod. And I'm wondering as to how to launch Project Reality with the JSRS sound mod, because I really like the sound effects in that mod. But I don't know if I have to edit a shortcut or something to maybe be able to do that, or perhaps it's not possible. So if anybody knows how to do that, that would be helpful as well, because definitely need some better sounds. Not a fan of the ones that come with ArmA. Helicopter above, everybody's looking up. Not sure where that was. And just trying to still stick with this squad. I think I'm actually part of a squad. However, I'm not with the squad that I was invited to. Because I believe if you look at the map, you and your squad are like green little icons, and other friendlies are just blue. And I think these guys were blue, but I couldn't find anybody else. I was like, you know what? Better to be with somebody than alone. So I'm just trying to follow these guys again. And hopefully not cause too much trouble. More shots out. I'm looking. And this was the case throughout most of the game. Confusion. SideStrafe confused. You know, shots would be fired. I would look to where, perhaps see, try to find some tracer fire, direction, look at the map, and just be clueless as to what's going on. And that's my fault, because I'm not on voice comms, and they're probably in a squad over voice talking to each other. And there was a lot of fire. I don't know what happened, but it actually, I think the impact made me flip my mouse up. Not intentional, but that's what happened. And I'm just trying to stay low and not get my head shot off as we move here. We're kind of moving up to some cottages, apparently, where they were held up, the enemy force. And at one point we end up just trying to get there and encircle them, as you'll eventually see. But yeah, this is multiplayer ArmA and Project Reality. And I remember in the past trying to do some online ArmA, and it was always just quite confusing and difficult and very intimidating getting into it most of the time, because let's face it, it puts you in a giant continent and there's not really any way around it. You're there and you got to figure out where the rest of your team is at. It's very confusing and difficult for a beginner, and I think for me, I think that's kind of what put me off in the beginning. You know, many years ago when this game came out, it was like, I really can't get into it because I don't know what's going on. But it's like I spoke in my other videos, it's that learning curve, and once you get past it, you know, once I took the time to sit down and try to figure a few things out, I actually enjoyed myself. I didn't get a lot of kills, you know, this day or anything, but in fact, I don't even know if I killed anybody except for that one guy. After that, I just don't know if I got anybody after him. But you know what? It was just the troop movements, the creepy, eerie feeling. It kind of brought me back to the first time I played Rainbow Six when that game first came out, and it was the first time I had played a realistic shooter. And I kind of had that feeling again, that just eerie, like, you know, a couple hits and we're dead. And yeah, you'll respawn, but it's, you know, very far away and puts your team at a big disadvantage. So all in all, lots of fun, but it's definitely not easy. So here we are, we're just moving in the open here. I'm kind of worried because all we have is tree cover and not exactly gonna keep us safe. More fire in the distance, as I believe at this point we're just trying to rendezvous with a few other squads. You can hear some more radio chatter there, but I'm not sure if it's other squads speak or what. We're trying to approach these cottages, which are very far in the distance. My draw distance I had turned down a little bit just because of the performance in a multiplayer scenario is a little higher, so I did have to dumb down a few of the graphics. Not that we can really tell with night vision constantly on. Constant shots, I believe, coming from that cottage. The defender's just trying to hold on, and I would assume that it's like duck hunt for them, as we're just out here in the open and they have night vision as well. I'm just trying to check out all these areas. As you can see, my draw distance not too hot. Trying to watch a little bit of the tracer fire as we move on. So they're shooting. I'm like, okay, let's just try to turn to see what they're shooting at. I believe the cottages are in this direction. I start to see them there, but unfortunately I just don't have any targets and I'm dead. Simple as that. They fired some sort of RPG or something, and that was it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is ArmA and Project Reality. That is the nature of the game. You can run and run and run for probably over an hour, and you're dead. And I'm okay with that. I mean, that's the kind of game that it is. So, with that said, ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this look at ArmA 2 and Project Reality. Let me know if you enjoy this type of content. Are you cool with just watching me run around like an idiot and trying to stay alive? Is there enough action? You know, what would you like to see? Do you have any suggestions? I'm always open to feedback and always very much so appreciated. But with that, thank you so much, and definitely see you on the next one.